base of the bigger, stronger John Cena.
When WWE finally pulled the trigger on John Cena's heel turn, a moment fans had speculated, debated, and eagerly awaited for over a decade, the wrestling world was poised for a seismic creative renaissance. Cena, the embodiment of hustle, loyalty, and respect for years, had become stale to many, especially the older demographic craving a more complex, darker character from the once unshakable hero. For years, WWE resisted the shift, clinging to the lucrative merchandise sales, Cena's spotless public image, and his pivotal role as a role model for younger fans. A flawed beginning. Cena versus Our Truth. The heel turn was meant to be cemented in a shocking betrayal of Our Truth, Cena's longtime admirer, in what should have been a powerful, emotionally charged moment. Presented as the main event of a Saturday night, the segment promised a cold-blooded act of villainy, with Cena luring in Our Truth only to viciously turn on him. However, the execution was so cartoonish and shallow that it quickly devolved into farce. Our Truth, decked out in a cheap Cena impersonator costume, looked less like a credible victim and more like a punchline in a prolonged Saturday morning skit gone wrong. The heel tactics, low blows while the referee was distracted, were uninspired, reminiscent of mid-career heel work from the early 2000s rather than a groundbreaking shift for a multi-time world champion. There was no real narrative weight or psychological complexity behind Cena's actions. This was not a dark, philosophical transformation, a man unraveling under pressure, or a hero turning bitter and disillusioned. It was simply Cena being mean to a comedic lower-card character. Lazy booking, plain and simple. The Cody Rhodes feud, a missed redemption. If the opening misstep was disappointing, WWE's attempt to salvage Cena's heel turn with a feud against Cody Rhodes was even more frustrating. Cody was red-hot, fresh off carrying WrestleMania on his back, deeply respected by fans and peers alike, and a perfect foil as the company's new golden boy. The storyline had all the ingredients for an emotionally charged saga, the aging veteran losing his way versus the hungry challenger seeking to restore order. Yet, the feud was rushed and unfocused. Cena's heel persona felt half-baked and inconsistent at best. His promos veered awkwardly between aggression and pseudo-philosophical ramblings, but rarely landed with impact. Sometimes Cena mocked the fans. Other times, he cast himself as a martyr burdened by carrying the company. But the disjointed messaging left fans confused. The Randy Orton saga. Rehashing old ground next came the nostalgia-fueled rivalry with Randy Orton, a matchup fans had seen countless times before. WWE leaned heavily on the history between the two, assuming the weight of their shared past would suffice to elevate the story. But history only goes so far without fresh emotional stakes or compelling new layers. Their 2025 feud felt like a rerun of a show that was only mildly entertaining the first time. The reasons for their renewed conflict were vague. Was it control of the locker room? Legacy? Respect? WWE hinted at these motives, but committed to none, leaving Cena's heel persona as nebulous as ever. Cena mocked Orton's failures, proclaimed himself the real face of WWE, and tried to provoke violence, but it all felt tired and uninspired. There was no evolution, only regression. Orton, though still capable, seemed to lack motivation, and the matches were slow-paced, devoid of the subtle storytelling or psychological nuance that once defined their encounters. A tragic waste of Cena's potential. The greatest tragedy is that John Cena, as a performer, has the range to pull off a complex heel turn. His past feuds with CM Punk, The Rock, and Bray Wyatt exposed glimpses of the layers beneath the virtuous Superman persona, a man driven by ego, resentment, and a sense of moral superiority. There was always darkness waiting to be unleashed, but when given the chance, WWE defaulted to mediocrity. The creative team's biggest failure was treating Cena's heel turn as a cosmetic shift rather than a transformative moment. His presentation remained largely unchanged. Same music, same gear, same entrance, signaling WWE's unwillingness to fully commit. It was as if they wanted the benefits of a heel Cena without risking alienating fans or damaging the brand's wholesome image. The ripple effect. Impact on WWE's future. Beyond the creative shortcomings, Cena's failed heel turn had wider implications for WWE's locker room and future storytelling. A well-executed heel turn should have elevated younger talent, either through alliances or, more powerfully, by having Cena put them over. Instead, Cena remained stuck in feuds with safe, established names who had little to gain from the storyline. Our truth was not elevated, Cody Rhodes was stalled, and Randy Orton tread water. No new stars emerged, and WWE squandered the chance to create a generational moment, a symbolic passing of the torch where a fresh babyface would rise by conquering the fallen hero. Fans didn't reject the heel turn because they didn't want it. They rejected it because it lacked authenticity, creative bravery, and emotional payoff. The entire arc felt like a carefully controlled corporate imitation, missing the raw edges and risk that make wrestling's best heel turns unforgettable. WWE's fear of genuine change. Ultimately, the failed Cena heel turn exposes a broader problem with WWE's approach to storytelling. A fear of real change, a reluctance to alienate core fans, and a lack of trust in performers to blur the lines between fiction and reality. Wrestling thrives on bold, transformative moments that shock, engage, and evolve characters. Instead, WWE opted for safe, predictable, and shallow storytelling, wasting one of the industry's biggest stars and leaving fans hungry for something real.